So, you recently got into Helldivers 2 and immediately got overwhelmed by the amount of different weapons, primaries, secondaries, super weapons, stratagems, factions, mission types. So you went to YouTube and watched a few best weapons tier list videos trying to figure out how to get better. And still nothing you try actually work. First of all, skill issue. But seriously, I get it. So I decided to make this Helldivers guide as a noob myself, or at least as someone that's still learning the game, with different tips that genuinely help me go from struggling to complete D2 missions to clearing full D10 solo operations without breaking a sweat. These are not general tips or average meta tier list. These are specific tips to help you figure out your own playstyle, your own strength, and your own builds. So let's get into it. We all been there, we all done that. You watch the best primary tier list, then a different video for the best secondaries, then another one for best super weapons, and so on. And most of those videos are technically right. But as I mentioned before, this is not about meta, this is about you. And you probably have a very specific way of approaching missions. Using a simple analogy, some players play like light infantry, always moving, avoiding direct fights, hitting objective fast, relying on mobility and positioning. Others play more like heavy infantry, slower movement, stronger armor, holding their ground and fighting everything head-on. Neither is objectively better. The problem starts when you try to force a playstyle that simply doesn't fit you, just because a tier list told you each weapon is meta. So before choosing your weapons, you first need to identify your own playstyle. But before you go, I'm a pure heavy infantry guy, you also need to consider weapon synergy, which leads to my next point. So following what I just mentioned, after watching separate tier list videos for every weapon category and stratagem, you might end up with either a very redundant loadout or a very unbalanced one, because each of these tier lists was made independently from one another. So for example, if most people agree the explosive crossbow is S tier as a primary
weapon, which is the CB9 explosive crossbow, and it is arguably one of the strongest primary weapons in the game. It can kind of do just about everything, which is really cool. For an overall rating for crossbow, I'd say this one's S tier versus bugs and bots, and A tier versus squids.
The CB9 explosive crossbow. This is one of the most unique and versatile weapons in the game, period. So yeah, the crossbow, easy S tier, period.
Exploding crossbow, it's S tier.
Then another video says the ultimatum is the best secondary.
The GP31 ultimatum. For that, I will give it an S for the squids.
Ultimatum is still a pretty good gun.
You already know where it's going. The ultimatum is an S tier, top of S tier. It is the best secondary, I think, in the game. It's so powerful.
Then another one tells you the recoilless rifle is goated.
The recoilless rifle gets a 10 out of 10.
This is the recoilless rifle.
Recoilless rifle, it's S tier.
You might go into a mission with this loadout thinking, wow, I'm stoppable. But you will quickly realize that as strong as each of these weapons are individually, together they actually become very weak. Not because they don't do damage, but because now your entire build is basically heavy anti-tank explosive weapons. Meaning everything will kill you at close range, small enemies become annoying, and your teammates start hating you because you keep accidentally blowing everyone up. Different weapons need to cover different purposes. For example, chaff clear, small light enemies that can easily swarm and surround you. Then you got utility, so tools that will help you destroy bug nests, fabricators, ships, outposts, or clear medium-sized groups of enemies. And then heavy anti-tank. They don't spawn as often, but when they do, you better be ready for them. You need help covering your back? Bring a sentry. You need a large area or stronger heavy clear? Bring eagle strikes or orbitals. Some builds can cover almost everything, but some can't. But the important thing is making sure your weapons don't all serve the exact same purpose. Also, as a noob, or even as a pro player, you're gonna die. A lot. So whenever you get reinforced back into the mission, you gotta ask yourself, what's the weapon I couldn't survive 1 second without? Part of why my own build works for me is because I can still function even after dying. I already dropped with a solid automatic primary, an explosive secondary for outpost, and thermites for heavies. So even without my stratagem weapons, I can still survive long enough to either recover my gear or call new equipment back in. Also, as a side note, as I was recording this, a friend told me, hey, have you tried a hot drop? Which is basically dropping right in the middle of an outpost. And I said, no, but bet I'm gonna do a hot drop now in a D10 all alone. I'm not even gonna bring weapons, just eagle strikes and orbitals. And it was just for the meme, for the laugh. I did it just expecting to drop in, throw all the orbitals at the same time and just die. But that's not what happened. I actually ended up clearing the whole map on D10 without a single support weapon. So at the end, all these points ended up reinforcing themselves because I could survive on D10 without any support weapons, just my basic main loadout and a few orbitals, but nothing else. Alright, so you found your playstyle, your loadout is starting to make sense, and things finally seems to be working for you. But then your favorite YouTuber tells you that you actually need to completely change your whole loadout depending on factions, bots, bugs, zombies. And well, again, they are not wrong, but the person telling you this probably has hundreds and hundreds of hours in the game, every weapon unlocked, every stratagem mastered, and is trying to gain a tiny extra 1% advantage over enemies, because they already mastered the other 99%. But you're not there yet. What will help you survive missions right now is mastering the basics, not sharpening the tiny details. At least not yet. You're already overwhelmed enough by all the options in the game, and you don't need even more complexity right now. And the truth is, most well-built loadouts will work perfectly fine against every faction as long as you follow what I just mentioned earlier about weapons roles and utility. At your current stage as a Helldiver, what will influence your loadout much more than factions is mission types. Some missions have you constantly moving around the map, completing an objective, and others force you to stay in one place defending an area. So suddenly all your mobility stratagems like jump packs, war packs, vehicles become pretty much useless, while things like sentries become way stronger. So don't overthink factions too much just yet, and focus on objectives first and mission types. This goes hand in hand with playstyle. Different armors come with different weights and perks, from the basic light, medium and heavy types to extra benefits like carrying more steams, extra throwables, reduced recoil, less fire damage, faster reloads, and so on. And what helped me the most was choosing armor based mainly on perks, with aesthetics being a close second. You still wanna look cool while headshotting clankers, come on. But for me, for example, thermite grenade are fundamental part of my playstyle. They are not just a secondary just in case tool. So an armor with +2 throwables give me a much bigger advantage than something with slightly better protection. I also like staying constantly on the move, getting in and out of places quickly, so weight-wise, light or medium armor works much better for me. So at one point, I was playing with a level 150 friend with hundreds of hours in game. Let's just call it Jules on Plongeur, and he adapts to every map and faction perfectly. And he told me, oh, for this mission, you should switch your armor to this one because it has better padding. And again, he technically wasn't wrong, but the moment I switched armor, it also changed my playstyle. Now I couldn't rely on my thermites that much anymore, and the extra padding barely made any difference, if at all, in terms of protection. My pacing slowed it down, and I started overthinking every engagement more than usual, because I wasn't using my loadout anymore, I was using his. Finally, I'll share what I'm currently using for most operations. This loadout works great for me. So let's go through it, weapon by weapon, while explaining the why behind each choice. The two weapons I use the most are the Coyote and the Scorcher. Personally, I like the Scorcher more, but it's very ammo hungry, as they say. But if your aim is decent enough, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. These are my chaff clear weapons. They take care of light to medium enemies at close to mid range without much trouble. Lately, I've been using the grenade pistol. I love the Talon, but utility-wise, it serves almost the exact same purpose as my primary weapon. Meanwhile, the grenade pistol fills a completely different role. It's amazing for closing bug nests, destroying fabricators, taking down illuminate ships once their shell is gone, destroying jammers and illegal broadcast towers, littering smaller enemy groups. Or you can also confuse it for your primary weapon and instantly kill yourself at close range. Fuck. I thought I had a fucking Scorcher. Impact grenades are a very close second, but thermites are just way too useful for my playstyle. You can spam them against heavies if you want. I have taken down factory striders with them, although I really don't recommend it. But the main reason I use them is convenience. For illuminated ships, you don't even need to destroy the shield first or aim for the doors. For the fabricators, you don't need to hit the ventilation opening either. You can literally stick a thermite anywhere and destroy the entire outpost with a single grenade, which means you can clear objective quickly while avoiding being seen. Some enemies like hulks can also be taken down with a single thermite, and as for stratagems, I usually carry a jump pack. This thing has saved my life more times than I can count. Being able to instantly create distance between you and whatever is chasing you is a great advantage to have. The commando, it took me a while to get used to expendable weapons because I always prefer having support weapons permanently available, but once I got used to it, the commando became a fundamental part of my loadout. I try other expendables anti-tank weapons, but this one fits my playstyle much better. The 500 kg, what else do I need to say here? Oh, something over there is bothering you? Well, let me erase over there entirely. And finally, the machine gun sentry. It's great for covering your back while using terminals or simply distracting enemies when you move toward the next objective. And the cooldown is pretty low as well. And as you can probably notice, there's no real overlap between my weapons. Each one of them covers a different weakness and everything works together synergistically. Is it perfect? No, probably not. Is it meta? I don't think so, but it fits my playstyle. And last but not least, have fun. Don't forget, this is a game, a very cool one, but it's a game after all. Don't get too frustrated, experiment with as many weapons as you want, and slowly find your own identity and playstyle. I'm Juan Helldivers. See you in the next one.